Hello, my Scorpio friends. This is Kristen Redmond, Astrological Intuitive. Today we're going to go over the planetary aspects that are going to be influencing your life for 2024. And it is set to be an interesting year, and that is supported by the fact that your ruling planet, Pluto, is moving into a new sign. Pluto is the planet of transformation. And that's what your sign represents, right? I'm sure you've done plenty of research on what Scorpio means, and it is the sign of death, birth, transformation, right? Renewal that comes. It's the sign of all things dark and deep that most people shy away from and are afraid, trauma, crisis, um, all of these things, right? They fall into the bucket of transformation, and that's what Scorpio represents, and that's exactly what Pluto represents. And so it takes a long time to move around the sun, right? We take 365 days to go around that ball of light out there, but Pluto takes 250 of our years for one of its years, right? So when it moves into a new sign, it makes a gigantic impact on us. Now, it doesn't happen overnight. These are things that are kind of slow to come, right? Because it'll stay in a sign for anywhere from like 16 to 22 years, But when it moves in, it makes its biggest impact, and then again when it leaves. And these effects are slow moving. So you have been feeling this shift and change for a while. That, coupled with the fact that we've had eclipses that have gone through your sign over the past couple of years, really forcing you to reckon with some old demons that were brought up from Jupiter going through your sign the 2 years leading up to that. It's been a lot since 2018 for your sign, with dredging up the old skeletons in the closet and really being forced to let go of things, whether that's outdated beliefs, people, situations, jobs, all of these things, right, to get clear on who you are. And so now we've got your ruling planet, Pluto, moving into the sign of Aquarius, which is the sign of authenticity. And so this is where that reckoning kind of occurs in this year, saying, are you living your true authentic life? Did you make those necessary changes from 2018 onward in order to heal and move forward? But to get to the areas that are dark and hidden are very painful, and a lot of people shy away from that. But you, Scorpio, you have the ability to do it. And when you do, major transformation can happen, right? So this is definitely a year where all of those themes are being, I think, culminated, right? We've come to the end of it. And now this is a year for rediscovering passion for life. And really a lot of that comes into life purpose and career. The eclipses from last year that I was talking about, those are the ones that are heralding change, right? We as astrologers look at eclipses in somebody's chart and go, oh, this is where the major changes are happening. They bring new beginnings. That happened in your sign 2021, and it ended last year. And they happened in the spring, and then they happened again in the fall. And when these eclipses happen, they're like billboards from the universe on the changes that need to be made in order for these new beginnings to come through. It's different for everybody's chart, right? Where these eclipses are depends on what house it's in. Maybe there's new beginnings in career, maybe there's relationship, maybe it's, children, what have you. We're looking at it from the overall Scorpio perspective right now. If you want to dig into your personal chart, I have a link below where you can click on that to get a reading, and we can do that by Zoom and really dig into your personal chart. But overall, these eclipses for you over the past couple of years have brought into focus the dynamic between your needs and then what's happening in the relationships around you. They're opposing forces, the self and the self in relationship. So these eclipses really brought that to light, what it is you need out of relationship and what needs to change in order for you to get what you need, right? To be authentic to who you are, because that's what you've been working towards. You've been working towards becoming the most authentic, true version of yourself. But finding that really happened under the influences of these eclipses that had happened. So what we've got going through here, where do I want to start? There's just so many things to look at. I just think what we're going to do, not only that, okay, so let's think of it like this. Back in the ancient times, right? Pluto, we didn't even know that it existed. We had no clue that it was out there because it's so far away and it's so darn small you can't even see it. You know what I mean? So what the ancient astrologers said was that Mars technically was your ruling planet. Mars is the engine that drives us. It's that ball of fire that gets things moving. It gives us the courage to make the changes that we need to make. Now, Mars is moving through, finally, the past couple of years it's been retrograde. And when it retrogrades, it's kind of like the engine stalls out and you lose some energy. That had been the case, right? So now it's finally getting moving and it's kind of burning out all of that old baggage that we were talking about could be holding you back. So we've got Mars kind of propelling you forward this year to making those changes that are necessary. Now, one of those necessary changes might be in that 8th house. The 8th house is Scorpio. You rule Scorpio. It's the house of debts. It's the house of trauma, death, loss, crisis, transformation, psychology. It's also the house of shared resources. So we have Jupiter moving into your 8th house where it hasn't been for 12 years. Now, when Jupiter comes into that 8th house, Jupiter expands whatever it touches and it brings lucky breaks and opportunities where we don't see them in the now. Jupiter brings us lucky breaks and it says, well, blah, here it is. Now, as it moves into that houses of debt, you might find one, right, that your debt load might increase. You got to be careful with that with Jupiter because it can expand things. So you may have Jupiter might luckily bring you some extended credit and more credit. Just be careful you don't overly take advantage of that if you can't pay that off. But another thing with Jupiter going through is that it has you looking at those debts and it brings you lucky breaks in ways to getting that paid off. That's a wonderful thing, right? Another thing too is that because it's the house of shared resources, you might find that your partner unexpectedly gets a raise, right? Especially around the time of April 20th, because that's when Jupiter makes its once in a 12-year alignment with Uranus, the planet of unexpected things. So you may unexpectedly find that they get a raise. Maybe there's an inheritance that nobody knew was coming through. Maybe you yourself get a raise, or they find that there was a miscalculation and that you're owed some money in that time frame, and you can really put it towards those outstanding debts that hold you back. Because remember, you as a Scorpio, you've come in this lifetime with that as kind of being an Achilles heel. It's one of those things that you're here to balance out. And as you do that, if you can take these windows of opportunity where lucky breaks come towards it and negate it immediately, that's huge for soul's growth right there. That's super huge. But in terms of money, that's going to be the major thing. That's going to be there for the next 12 years. Jupiter is going to be kind of expanding these opportunities. It's not for just this year, but as it moves in, I always say these things make the biggest impact when they move in and then again when they leave. So keep an eye out for those opportunities. Now, with that, because it's the house of lending, you might find too that in that April 20th timeframe, when that conjunction occurs with Uranus and Jupiter, that maybe you get a lucky break on getting a mortgage. Maybe the interest rates change. I know everybody says that they're so high and it's so bad right now, but you got to remember that Uranus, that planet of unexpected things, has been moving through Taurus since 2018. And this is an 80-year cycle. It takes 80 years for it to go around the sun. We're at 365 days, right? This is 80 years. When the last time we had Uranus tour Taurus was in the Great Depression. It radically can change the world's economy, right? Taurus deals with finances, the economy, the healthcare system, all of those things that are physical, tangible. That's what Taurus deals with. You have the planet of unexpected things going through there, starting really truly March 20th of 2020. It started in 2018, but it kind of bebop back and forth. Finally landed there March 20th, 2020. Look at everything that's happened there, right? So for as much is the unexpected ups and downs that are kind of going with the economy now. It can unexpectedly go up at the drop of a dime, and you can take advantage of that too. So just keep that in mind, that there's a lot there to help you get the financing that you need for whatever it might be. So now let's move on to home. Okay. Pluto is moving. That Pluto that we were talking about, not only is it moving into your sign, getting you to recognize what it is that you need and make the transformations you need, it's also moving into that fourth house of home and family, where it's going to remain for the next 20 years. Now, because it's moving into the home and family sector, I see this, I kind of might be jumping to the shadow side of Pluto here, but Pluto represents the secrets and uncovering things that are hidden. So you may find that some old family skeletons are coming out of the closet, right? And you don't rightly know how to deal with that, the things that are being revealed. Keep in mind that some of those things may be part of that false belief system that's inside of you, where it's like, oh, I can't do this because of that. This comes to light, and then you realize, oh my gosh, I can do these things. Maybe it doesn't upset my dad this much as I thought it did, because he did the same thing, and maybe you didn't realize that before, or there's a lot of things that can come in with that. But now another thing too, another shadow side of it, because we all have positives and negatives, right, with our ruling planets and our signs, power struggles. Because this is just now moving into your house, home, and family, you might see these things rearing their ugly head first, so you can spend the next 20 years working on mending and changing and releasing and doing everything that you need to do with these things, right? Slow moving, right? This may have already happened. Everything I'm talking about very well could have happened already, right? And this is the healing process. Everybody's at different points in their journey with it, but power struggles could be an issue. You see that dynamic of power and control that has kind of gone from one generation to the next in family, and you're ready to make changes with that, right? Trust your watery instincts, okay? You are very intuitive. You can sense when things are shifting, when things are changing, and you can strike when the iron is hot, right? That scorpion that you are. And that's the thing, right? If you feel this is a situation where you are being caught in a power and control dynamic, call it out for what it is and make the changes necessary to not be part of that anymore, right? Another thing with Pluto, the planet of transformation, going through the house of home and family, you literally may be transforming your house that you live in, right? It literally may be transforming your family. Maybe there's a marriage, a divorce, a death, a loss. Maybe you're completely building from the ground up a new home. You know what I mean? That could very well be as well. But that's something that's going to be happening. That's a pretty big cycle. That's a 250-year cycle coming around. Now, where there may be dramatic changes, remember that ultimately wonderful things come out of it. So that's something to keep in mind as well too. Now let's move on to relationship and love. Jupiter is starting to go through that seventh house of yours since last year in 2023. Jupiter moving through Taurus that I was talking about there. Now, Jupiter is the planet of luck and opportunity expansion. It's making its 12-year cycle in this house of marriage and partnership to really bring you relationship that works for you. You're working on finding what's authentic to you, right? And as it continues its last leg through Taurus in your seventh house before it moves into that eighth house and starts working on those joint finances and debts and things, it's really trying to expand you to ensure that you are with the partner that is best fitting for you. It brings lucky new energy, wonderful positive new beginnings in for existing relationships. It helps move you out there if you're looking for somebody, to find somebody that really truly is a great match for who you are, right? Not what they expect you to be, but who you are, right? Because you've been doing the work on that. Especially with that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. Remember, we were talking about that, where it can help with that lending and stuff. It easily can happen with relationship in finding somebody, or maybe a radical thing comes to light in existing relationship that can help you either fix it or maybe walk away from it, especially if there's one where there's the themes of power, control, manipulation, addiction, things that you need to move away from this lifetime in order to have healthy relationship, right? So many things on the forefront, but I see it really as a year of sewing up loose ends because you've had so many major things happening. And now I see the healing and the change and the transformation coming in. And a lot of this goes to life purpose, right? All these things route to your life's purpose. And with career, finding that, it's just as long as it's something that resonates true with what brings you joy and happiness. You've done all this hard work to get there. If you haven't made that change yet, I definitely see that coming within this next year to make the steps necessary to get those changes going. Let's say you haven't, right? Let's say you want to manifest this. Let's say you want to manifest the ability to bring this relationship in or the job in or whatever. Whatever it is that you need. We manifest at the new moon and we release what needs to be released at the full moon. That's how our moon cycles work and how they work with us. So your specific new moon is going to help you, right? A little bit stronger than the others. You can release anything or manifest anything at any time. It's some windows of time are a little bit stronger. And for you, your Scorpio new moon is November 1st. That's when you're going to put your seeds of intention for what you want out into the universe. The full moon is on April 23rd. Now, with the full moon, that's when you're going to need to release things. And keep in mind that we have that Uranus-Jupiter conjunction April 20th. Planet of luck, planet of unexpected things, moving together. That can bring a lot of insights to light. And with that, right, obviously there's going to be a lot of things kind of shifting and changing on areas that we need to let go of and bring in some lucky breaks for you. So definitely a fast-paced and exciting year, though. I tell you what, and especially when it comes to relationships, just keep an eye out for those. So with those moons, they're going to show you what needs to be done. Listen to it, trust your instincts, trust your heart, and follow what it's telling you to do, right? Because nobody's going to give you the answers better than what you have inside of yourself. So now, I guess we can also look at that full moon thing too. If there's something you need to release, that full moon time frame of April 23rd that we were just talking to, those realizations that come up. If you know you need to let something go, you do it in that time frame. Great things are going to come out of it as a result. So yeah, so now let's look at birthdays. Now these birthdays, some of them are more dialed in because they have these slower moving planets that make bigger impacts that do actually make these dates. But you might find that one of these resonates better with you. Maybe they all do. Whatever, you know what I mean? Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, but in general, if your birthday is October 24th through October 26th, Pluto, your ruling planet, is going to be squaring your sun. It is asking how authentic of a life you're living. How true to yourself are you being? So the pressure to get out of the old ways of being and doing are going to be really at the forefront of your mind this year. You're going to be seeing those behaviors and patterns that don't work for you, that you've outgrown, that need to be released in order for new things to come through, right? Introspective year, definitely going to be an introspective year, but that's okay, right? That's absolutely okay. We got to go through those sometimes. October 27th through November 12th, Saturn is going to be making a positive connection with you. Now, Saturn is the planet of responsibility and structure, order, discipline, boundaries. So the more that you can employ those characteristics this year, there's going to be some major growth that happens as a result. You may be finding that new responsibilities that you're taking on this year, because there probably will be some that come your way, are going to equal new boundaries that you're going to have to set, and limitations, whether that's on yourself or with other people, in order to live up to these new responsibilities. That hard work is rewarded, though. That's the great thing with Saturn, is it makes us work for our blessings, where Jupiter just blindly gives them to us. Saturn's like, let me make you work your butt off, and then you'll get something great out of it. So it's like all the hard work that you've put in is coming through in this time, right? And success comes as a result. And with all of this, right, when we work hard to get something and we get something great out of the end, it really develops it strengthens our sense of self, right? And that's where I see you being in this year as well. If your birthday is November 13th through the 20th, Uranus in the sky is out there opposing your sun. Now, Uranus is that planet of authenticity, right? Just like your ruling planet is moving into, you're getting a double whammy of that. Maybe it's a year of realizing I feel like I'm living the life everybody else wants me to live. Um, Maybe you have realized that with everything else over the past couple of years that have really brought that to the surface. Uranus is going to be that planet that makes the push, right? We get in these comfort zones and we stay in them. Uranus pushes us out of them. So you might find that this is a year where you're restless and ready to seek out the new ways to making sure that the authentic self can be here, that you can live in that, right? I say embrace the change, right? The more that we try to fight change and hold on to the old, the longer it takes for things to happen, right? So just embrace the change and know that it's for the better good. Freedom to be yourself is vital, right? So if change is happening, it's trying to get you to that authentic you. And it's not comfortable. Of course it's not, because you're not used to it, but it will in time, right? And it'll be better for you. So try those new things, right? Scorpio, you got a lot of wonderful things coming up, and there's a lot of change, and it's gearing you towards where your soul is meant to go. Listen to yourself, listen to your heart, listen to your intuition, and it won't guide you wrong. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful 2024.